Welcome back to Autism Diagnosis to Confident Mom. This is Kira from Kira Brown Coaching, and today we are talking about from tears to calm, 4 root causes of meltdowns. We're going to talk about what those causes are, some things we can do to help prevent them in the future, maybe some things we can do in the moment. We're going to cover it all in 20 minutes, so stick to the end to get all 4 causes. It's easier than you think. Welcome to the Autism Diagnosis to Confident Mom podcast with Kira from Kira Brown Coaching. I'm a mom of neurospicy kids and a life coach. I'm here to share real tips and support to help you feel confident as a parent. Howdy, and welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for coming if you're new. Today, I want to talk about meltdowns. The dreaded meltdown. Are you having lots of them? Are they going pretty well? How are they going in your world? In a time when we were experiencing a lot of meltdowns, and it seemed like they would go on forever and ever and ever. We were also in therapy, and my therapist made it known to me on multiple occasions. It took me a while to learn this, but there are usually 1 of 4 reasons that children are melting down, and we're going to talk about those today. So, and how when we understand the reasons behind it, we can maybe A, prevent some, and B, be more patient and compassionate with them in their experience and our experience. And just remember, you're going to walk away with simple, practical tips that you can use right away. So be sure to listen to the end to get all of those. The first reason for a meltdown. Well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that a meltdown is not a temper tantrum. They might look similar, but they are not the same. A temper tantrum is, I wanted XYZ and I didn't get my way, and I'm going to throw a fit to try to get my way. And when I realize I can't get my way, then I'm just going to stop. A meltdown is when their little brains go into fight or flight mode, their prefrontal cortex shuts off, and their nervous system is dysregulated, and it comes out in all sorts of ways. I know for my son, it's a lot of fight. So it's screaming, yelling, kicking, throwing things. Or he might shut down too, right? Sometimes we go into more of the flight or freeze side of it, where we just refuse to talk. We don't say anything. We huddle up in a corner. We go hide. So meltdowns can come in all sizes and forms. And just because your child's meltdown doesn't look like my child's meltdown doesn't mean it's not a meltdown. A tip, if you're struggling to know if it's a meltdown or not, is, are their eyes dilated or restricted? Look at their pupils. If they're not in a normal size, then it's very likely a meltdown, because their eyes will dilate or restrict when their nervous system is dysregulated. So that can be a trick to help you. But let's go ahead and talk about the first reason for a meltdown. You're going to go, duh, Kira, why didn't I think of that? Number 1 is hunger. When we get hungry, that means our blood sugar maybe has dropped, or we have hunger pangs inside of our tummies. It's just harder to think about other things when we're hungry. They can't put in the extra effort it takes to self-regulate when they're hungry. And neurodivergent children have more synapses in their brain, so they process more information. And so they have more coming at them than the neurotypical brain saying, hey, I'm hungry. We need to fix this right now. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. And just think about that. If you're constantly thinking, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, how well can you focus on playing nice or doing your job or anything else? It is very disruptive to them. And so hunger can cause meltdowns. Signs that they might be hungry is they're in a snappy mood, they're asking for food. Sometimes, though, they don't even realize they're hungry. My son can be in the middle of a meltdown right as dinner is ready. He's hungry. I know he's hungry, and he will tell me, I'm not hungry. Remember, some kiddos don't feel what's going on inside of their body the best, especially if they're autistic or ADHD. And so they don't even realize or register that they're hungry yet. My ADHD kiddo often forgets to eat and then comes in snappy and grouchy. So, have you heard the word hangry? Hungry and angry together. That's how they can get. So we just have to kind of look, and you're not always going to figure this out in the moment. In fact, I'm going to say 99.9% of the time, they will not be able to tell you why they are dysregulated in the moment. Like, we have to handle the meltdown and then think about why later. And they might be able to tell you why later, and they might not. But some things that have helped us in our house when it comes to hungry is I feed them more often. I allow for snacks. I make sure to have food that they will eat at every meal. I used to be this is what I made for dinner, this is what we're eating, and now I'm like, go ahead and have a piece of bread and butter. If that's what you'll eat, I will take it. But I put it on the table so that they think it's part of dinner. I just have something that I know that they'll eat at the dinner table. Before we go to functions, I make sure that they are fed well. I make sure to have a snack when I pick them up from the bus stop. I make sure that there will be food there that they will eat. And if there is not going to be food that they will eat there, don't be afraid to bring your own food. So we can prevent some meltdowns by not letting hunger get in the way. Reason number 2, are they tired? Just think about you when you're tired. Are you patient? Are you understanding? Are you kind? I know I struggle with all of those things when I'm tired. And remember, they have more synapses, so they feel the tired more intensely than a neurotypical brain will. So they might be tired. Some clues might be rubbing their eyes, zoning out, suddenly being irritable. And I want you to just remember, a wired child doesn't sleep well. So an overtired child does not sleep well. So if you're waiting until your child is saying, I'm tired, and rubbing their eyes and yawning, you've probably waited too long to start the bedtime process. We want to put them to bed before they're overtired, before they're before it's very obvious that they're tired. And I know, Mama, that some kiddos really struggle with sleep. Some of them do. I have been very blessed, and that is not one of our challenges. But it's not as extreme as it is for other mamas, and I feel for you. But just be aware. Are they getting tired? What time do we go to bed? Do we have a consistent bedtime? Do the little bodies have a schedule going on inside of their bodies? Do we go to bed consistently at 7:30 or 8 or 9 or whatever? Are they getting enough hours of sleep? The American Pediatric Association recommends certain amounts of sleep, and you can just Google that. But for different ages, and it's more sleep than you think. Like, a lot of kids still need 12 hours of sleep. Are they getting that? Does their schedule allow for that? Are we putting them in bed early enough? Do we have a consistent routine? Do we wake up at a consistent time? So do they need to go back onto a nap schedule? All of these things are things that we can look at. And you can take this trick, or leave it. Everybody's going to have a different opinion because it's going to involve melatonin. But if we are having a really rough meltdown day, I will give my child 1 or 2, I think it's milligrams of melatonin early, so they'll go to bed early and get extra sleep. I'm talking like a half hour early bedtime, so they can fall asleep and then they can get the rest they need, and hopefully tomorrow will be a better day. So that's up to you if you're comfortable with melatonin or not. Reason number 3, a lack of connection. Do they feel connected to you? Kids need to feel connected just like adults do. If your spouse is ignoring you or busy or stressed, do you feel connected to them? Well, your child is the same with you. If you are busy, stressed, overwhelmed, going, then they are not going to feel connected to you, and that can cause some meltdowns. They're feeling insecure about themselves. Signs of insecure connection might be clinginess. They might physically cling to you. Mom. They might just come in and check in with you all the time. What are you doing, Mom? Mom, I'm bored. That's what my boy does. Mom, I'm bored. Mom, I'm bored. Well, then go clean your room. I don't want to clean my room. I'm bored. Constantly when he needs more connection. They might be seeking your attention. Watch this. They might be doing inappropriate behaviors, trying to get your attention. That can be both positive and negative attention seeking. Some things that I've had to learn to do because I didn't grow up doing this is give more hugs. Hey, can I have a hug? My autistic kiddo does not do kisses. He has not done kisses ever his whole life. He does not like kisses, but he will let me hug him. We do snuggle time at night. So when he goes and crawls in the bed, he'll say, Mom, will you come snuggle me? And I'll go in for 2 to 5 minutes, and I'll ask him how his day was, and I'll ask him questions that he enjoys answering. Sometimes he doesn't want to talk about how his day was. Sometimes I have to come up with other random topics to talk about, but we'll just talk for 2 to 5 minutes. And he doesn't want me to touch him. He calls it quote unquote snuggling, but he doesn't want me to touch him. We're just both laying on the mattress, not touching, talking for a few minutes before bedtime. That has helped us connect more. I have 4 children. 3 of them have needs. 1 is neurotypical. I am busy during the day. I work part-time. I put on this podcast. So I am a busy individual, but that is one way that I can find time to connect with him, and he knows that it's coming. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not here to tell you, Mama, that you need to spend an hour with each of your kids one-on-one every day, or take them on a mommy, daughter, son date once a week or whatever. It doesn't have to be huge amounts of time. It just needs to be little bits of connection. How are we connecting? Am I looking them in the eyes? Am I getting down on their level when I talk to them? How can we connect with them better? Sometimes when he seems like he's on the verge of a meltdown, I might just ask, do you need a hug? And sometimes he'll let me hug him and squeeze him tight, and sometimes he won't. Or I might just be like, just remember I love you no matter what. That's something that he doesn't have to allow me to touch him. That's something that is just, it just is. So those are some ideas for connecting with connection. Number 4 reason for meltdowns. Are they having a sensory need? I was going to look and I forgot, but previously we've had a podcast all about sensory buckets. We talked about the sensory buckets and how each of us have either a normal size bucket or a tiny bucket or a really big bucket with a hole in all 8 senses. We each have a bucket for each sense, and depending on how big our bucket is how much we can handle. If we have a really small bucket, like our touch bucket is really small, then the texture of our tag and our shirt is going to drive us nuts, right? If we have a really, really big bucket with a hole in the bottom, then we might need more proprioceptive input, and our children might be like running and jumping and spinning like crazy because they're trying to meet those sensory needs. So if their sensory needs are not met, it's like having a rock in your shoe that you're walking on, and the worse they get dysregulated, the bigger that rock is. And remember, our children feel those things more intensely than a neurotypical child. And so can we fix something with their sensory? Do they need noise canceling headphones when they go to public places? Do they need to lay down in the cart with a blanket on their head in the grocery store because it's too bright? Do we need to have lamps in our home instead of using the overhead light? Are they getting enough input? Do they need some push and pull work? That's heavy lifting or pushing things like carrying a laundry hamper or stacking chairs or packing books. Do they need some of those activities in their body? What can we do to help their sensory needs? And if you need help figuring this out with a professional, I would recommend an occupational therapist who specializes in sensory needs in kids. We did occupational therapy for my kiddos, and they helped them learn about their sensory needs and how to meet them, and they helped me learn how to help them meet them. It was an amazing resource. So if you have a big need here, I would recommend looking into that. Some signs that might be a sensory need is there's all sorts of signs, but maybe they're covering their ears because it's loud, or they're pulling up their clothes. They want to take their clothes off. Maybe they're stimming. Stimming can be what you might think of, what a lot of people think of as stimming is like clapping our hands or snapping our fingers. But they can be verbal. It can be repeating a phrase over and over and over, or a noise. My autistic kiddo likes to make random noises over and over and over and over when he has a sensory need. It can be jumping, it can be pacing, it can be physical, but it can be verbal, it can be all sorts of things. So don't be afraid. If it's a repeated motion that they're trying to calm themselves with, that is a stim. Maybe your child goes and hides. That might be a sign that they have too much sensory input going on. Maybe they're going crazy. They're running around. They're jumping on the furniture. They can't sit still. They can't hold still. That might be a sign that they need some more of that proprioceptive input. There are lots of different ways to know. Some things that we have loved that have helped with this are a weighted blanket. We love Chewy toys. And you can just get them on Amazon. They're like, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches big, and they have different textures, and they have softer ones and harder ones, and the kids can chew on them. They can come on a string so they can wear them like a necklace. You can put them as a pencil topper so they're on the end of their pencil in school. But chewy toys have been great for us. A quiet space, somewhere to go away from people. What else have we loved? Chewy snacks when we're on the road, chewing gum. We go through a lot of gum to give them some sensory input that they need in their bodies. Every time we get in the car, can I have some gum? Can I have some gum? And I allow them to chew gum. I put up with the gum that ends up in places it shouldn't be because it helps with their sensory needs and we have fewer meltdowns. It's worth it to me. A sign that they're getting dysregulated is they might start chewing on their clothing or their fingers or whatever, and I will redirect with gum. So maybe some hard candy to suck on. Maybe some crunchy carrots to chew if they'll eat carrots for you. Some other things that we do that work are like organized physical movement. If I just go say run around outside, they get more dysregulated. But if I say go do 25 jumping jacks, it tends to calm them down. Like having a specific goal that they have to focus on while they're doing a physical activity. And just remember that their sensory needs aren't extra. It's the core to their regulation. It's not earning a fidget isn't a reward. It's taking away a basic need. It's kind of like saying with their sensory needs, if they have to earn it with good behavior before they can have it, it's kind of saying you can have your glasses after you read 20 pages. So just remember that sensory needs are not an extra. They're a basic need for these kiddos. They're a basic need for everybody, but especially for our autistic and ADHD kiddos. So just a reminder, the 4 reasons we might be having meltdowns are they're hungry, they're tired, they're lacking connection or security, and they have a sensory need that needs met. And my favorite phrase ever, and I cannot remember who told me this, so I can't give them credit, but I can't take credit for it myself, is they're not having a hard time. They're not giving me a hard time. They're having a hard time. They're not giving me a hard time. They're having a hard time. And I like to remind myself of that during meltdowns. When meltdowns happen, we can learn from them. In the moment, we just need to regulate. We just need to help them co-regulate and try to solve the meltdown. And then after they are totally calm, we can come back and discuss what was going on, what was bothering them, so that we can maybe help prevent it in the future. And also just a quick reminder that a meltdown is not bad behavior. A meltdown is communication. They're letting us know what they need. They just don't have the skills to tell us in a different way at the time. So they're data. Meltdowns are data. They give us information so that we can know how to help them out in the future. Thanks for being here. You're doing better than you think you are, Mama. Have a good day. Thanks so much for listening to Autism Diagnosis to Confident Mom. If this episode helped you feel a little more seen or supported, please take a moment to like, follow, or subscribe to the podcast. And if you know another parent who needs to hear this, share it with them too. We're all in this together. You're doing better than you think, Mama. You've got this.